Hello, happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me tonight, everyone. It is relax and craft time again. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery patterns and kits. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's our time to relax, to craft, to work on a project together. I'm here about an hour every evening, and we work on the projects all the way through from beginning to end. So if you want to join us on any of these projects, feel free to. I'm here to ask questions the entire time if you need help through any part of the project. So right now we are working on the Charming Chevrons quilt by Krista Watson of Krista Quilts. The link for this pattern is in my post here. And we're going to continue trimming tonight. I think we're going to get pretty far. So we have our two pieces of fabric. We've sewn on either side of the diagonal. We're going to trim that diagonal and we're going to get two half square triangles, one on this side and then one on the other side, and we'll be trimming more of those tonight. And I think we're getting close to being finished with this trimming. But I was cleaning my office today a little bit and I found a few projects that never came to be, and I thought I'd share one with you. So I had done a fabric collection of dinos. Like here's one of them here. And I thought I'd just, this collection was never made. It was, I stopped working with the fabric company before it got made, so it never came to be. And I thought I'd show you some of the pieces from here before I file it away into the ether somewhere. I don't know. I'll have to do something with these little pieces, and I could talk about the process a little bit too of the fabric process. Like these are called. These little fabric chunks are called strike-offs, and this is what comes from the factory. And it's just kind of like the test screen print of it. So this is just the test to see if all the screens line up, to see if the colors are right, and then the factory will adjust the colors, and then they'll print out more. So we have a few versions of those in here, but I thought I'd share that collection that never was. Maybe it'll end up being a collection someday, but found it today and I had forgotten about it, so I wanted to share that with you guys as well. And then we will be trimming our squares here again. So thanks again for joining me. If you're just hopping on, my name's Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, penguinandfish.com and everywhere else. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time for about an hour or so, working on projects together. Oh, put them in the granny square quilt. That's not a bad idea, Sally. That is not a bad idea at all. All right, I'm going to flip you around and I'll show you some more of the dino fabric before we get going here. Alrighty, so whenever I'm working on a project, I have it in my little file folder here, and I'll just page through some of these. So I really like this one. This was, fossils. You get all the little guys in there, and you even get like some little bones and a little hat or something hiding in there. So we got, oh, Gretchen, we are going to be doing a granny square quilt later in the year. It's not really granny squares like crocheted granny squares, but it mimics the idea of the granny squares, the typical crocheted granny squares, just how the quilt's laid out. So that will be one of our projects coming up. Let's see what else. Oh, I had some border fabrics. Let's see. Ooh, this one's big. Unfold this guy a little bit. There we go. So this was a border, so it has a top and the bottom, and then you can cut it out for the border. So we got little fun flying guys. Here's another one up there. I like him. And we got the little Tyrannosaurus down there, and there's also, oh, I think he's up here. These two guys coming out the other side. Ooh, a oh gosh, what are these ones called? It's like a Paracelophilus or something. Para something, these guys. And the Triceratops, my favorite. Well, Sharon, that's what I thought too, but then we ended up ended up not doing it. So this is another colorway. So this is a brighter green and some blue up there in the border. So here we go, slightly different colors. We got a blue background. This was a more blue one. The other one's more of like army greens and stuff. There, so this one's just slightly different colors. Oh, I like him. All right. Oh, and then we got a whole bunch of little dinos all over the place. Rawr. So we had some nice neutrals in this collection too. But yeah, so it's some of those same characters again. Let's see what else. Oh, we got a dark blue version of that. That's pretty cute. So this one, for example, it has a light yellow, but that light yellow should have maybe been a little lighter because we're losing some of the things. So that would be one of the things we would mention to the factory, and they would come back with an updated version. I might put this on Spoonflower so it's available for printing. This is a pale blue with some just bright evergreen, or bright like Kelly green, I guess would be the color. Little dudes. But I don't know. I do have the option in theory to pitch it to another company at some point, but I don't know if I'm ready to do that. But it's in the works. This was supposed to be like little things of amber. So I have, oh, this piece is so little. So amber with, little bugs and stuff stuck in the amber. And then we just had some different color versions of that. This green's awfully pretty. And, oh, and then we got just a nice neutral version of that again. Let's see. Oh, we got different colors of these underground dudes. Oh, this is a very small piece. Got a tan version, bright orange. Lots of good little kid colors, I think. Oh, and then just some fun little stripe zigzags. Always nice to have a stripe, but I think that's pretty cool. This would be kind of fun as leggings or something. Oh, and then a light blue. Oh yeah, fossils. What was I calling them? Oh, underground thingies. That's probably what I would call them, isn't it? Underground thingies. Fossils. Yep. Oh, here, now I'm going to figure out what that guy was called again. Here's a bunch of type stripes with, volcano, plesiosaurus, just fun. Cretaceous, the Jurassic period. I got to find what that one was. Oh, here it is. Parasaurolophus. That's what it is. The Parasaurolophus. That's that funny dude with the... That's this guy here. I forgot it already. Parasaurolophus. Anyway, got some little dudes on there too. And then we got him in green. And then that brown, that nice tan color again. Oh, your grandson knows all the big words. So I gave them a design on paper and they made fabric. I gave them designs, well, I can show you actually. I gave them computer designs of this, but I also gave them color sheets too. So we can look at that really quick. So I printed these out myself, these little swatches for my printer. So the factory was supposed to match these colors, and I have labeled, so I have these printouts like this is color 11, this is color 10, this is color 12, so you can kind of see. So the factory would get this, and so would the manufacturer that I would work with, and this is like the Bible, so they're gonna compare the colors that they get back from the factory to all the colors here, and I provide them this, so they know what I'm thinking about for colors. Yeah, like that deep blue with that green. That's pretty cute. Oh yeah, and here I have a few versions because it would take up a bunch of paper. So this is one of the color options, and this below this other line is the other color options. So they're just enough so that they can compare it. So they can compare it on the actual design, and then they can compare it on the little swatches. They're not. Why aren't I designing right now? Well, I stopped working with this company, and I haven't looked for another company really. I've been working on all the Joanne stuff, and I'm kind of taking my time for that now. But I might try and join up with another company again. But you know, so maybe dinos will happen again. So this is an earlier strikeoffs. This looks like all the same guys again. So this must have been earlier when we're like, I don't know, this green should be a little darker. So then they'd come back and do it a little darker. That orange guy's cute. Yeah, and so that is my little dino collection that poor guys never got made. But oh well, such is life. Oh gosh, tons of work, Gretchen. Oh, it takes me months to do all this, and then it takes just, you know, months and months and months more for it to get done. Oh, thanks so much, Donna. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I actually wrote a blog post about kind of the process a little bit, and that's pretty accurate to this process. So if you check out my blog, penguinandfish.blogspot.com, a couple posts back, a little while back, there's a blog post, but that goes through the whole process and the timeline of it all too, because there's a huge gap by when I'm doing all this artwork to when you actually see fabric. Like there's a year at least in between that, and you know, in the meantime, I'll have been working on at least 2 other collections in theory by the time that first one's printed. So it's a huge gap. But it was fun. I came upon that again the other day, and yeah, I would have liked to see it printed, but oh well, just didn't work out. But yeah, it was fun to make. I still like those. I still like those dinosaurs. Oh, one of my new embroidery patterns though is going to be some of those dinosaurs though. So it wasn't a total waste. I still get the art is still mine and everything still. So the company doesn't keep the art. Yeah, no, I don't go to the quilt shop. So how it works is I am the artist and I work with a company. So this is very typical. So all these big companies like Moda and all them, they license art from artists. So that means that they find artists that they like their work of and have them make a collection. And then when it sells, that artist makes like a percentage, like a small percentage on like each yard that is sold. So that's how it works. So the artist doesn't actually get paid until the fabric is sold, like a year, at least a year later. So yeah, so the manufacturer, which would be like the Moda, for example, or like the Free Spirit or Westminster, or Robert Kaufman. If you guys are familiar with any of those companies, those are the companies, and those companies license artwork from the designers. That's what I would be licensing the artwork from, and then those companies go out and find factories, and those factories are the places that actually print the fabric. Typically overseas somewhere. And then the factories send the fabric back to the company, like the Moda, for example, and then the Moda or other company will put it onto bolts and then ship it to all the stores and then do whatever promotions. So all that's kind of up to the company, but a lot of times they want to leverage, you know, the clout of the artists that they have to help sell it and stuff too. So like, you know, for like Amy Butler or Tula Pink, for example, some big names, they're, you know, as far as I know, they're licensing their artwork, but they're a huge part of their fabric, right? So they want to leverage, the company would want to leverage their names as much as they can. So they'll help promote it and stuff like that at trade shows, and, you know, which is good because the more they sell, the more they help the company to sell the fabric, the more licensing income they get, right? Yes, so stores, well, the stores don't usually have, well, so most small stores, they don't really have buyers. Well, yeah, so someone goes out and buys it. The stores go out and buy it, and the buyers choose, the store chooses what they want based on what they think their customer will buy, their patrons will buy. But a lot of these fabric companies have salespeople, sales reps that will go around to a whole pile of stores and then show them, so here's all the new fabric coming out from all the companies, and then the fabric store can pick from all these catalogs of fabric, basically. And there's so much to choose from just all the time. So I think it's actually pretty overwhelming for a store to know what to pick because there's always so much, and they have to have it sell and everything, right? Yeah, so, oh, you want the job to go look at all the pretty fabric and sell it? That'd be kind of awesome. Yes, so Free Spirit and Westminster, which is, you know, they're owned by the same place, they just shut down, like out of the blue all of a sudden. So now all those designers, and they're big designers, it's like Tula Pink, Amy Butler, Anna Maria Horner, oh gosh, just a bunch of people are all just gone right away. So because the company just shut down. So that company, Free Spirit and Westminster, they were actually sub companies of the larger company of Coates and Clark. So, oh yeah, Cafe Facet. Oh gosh, I totally know I'm not saying that right. Yeah, so his stuff isn't there anymore either. Well, correct, Susan. So Westminster and Free Spirit is done. So you won't get any more fabric from them except for probably what they're currently selling. So what's currently being sold, I'm guessing, I don't know this, but I'm sure that fabric will still go out. But yes, now I don't think there will be any upcoming collections from them, period. And so now, after, you know, what's currently kind of coming out. So now all those designers are kind of like on the market, basically. So now all the fabric companies are trying to, you know, negotiate with all these designers and try and get them, and the designers are trying to see who they want to work with. And yeah, exactly. If there is a collection that you really love, they won't be reprinting it anymore. So yeah, stock up if there is a collection that you really like out there by Free Spirit or Westminster. Yes, they probably will all get picked up by other companies. I mean, I think the roster of designers are pretty great, and I'm thinking that a whole pile of companies would be more than happy to have a bunch of any of those designers on their roster. So do they have to sign contracts not to work with other? Yes. So typically, Gretchen, that is how it works. That's how licensing in general kind of works. You license your artwork to a certain, oh gosh, it's called something. A category, like a category. So quilting fabric might be a category. So like a Tula Pink, for example, can't license her art to any other fabric company because that would be the same category. So it's usually a limited category. But she could go to a housewares place or a wallpaper place or a rug place or whatever and license artwork to those places, just not in the fabric design category or the fabric quilting fabric or I don't know, the fabric category. So that's kind of how licensing works. Licensing is like three things. It's what category, for what period of time, and what location. Like, is it global or just in, I'm licensing it in New York City or something. I don't know, something like that. So those are the three variables that a person who licenses artwork is thinking about. Because in theory, if you have artwork, you want to get it on as many things as possible. So you want, the fabric companies to only be, like if you're working with fabric, I want the license just to be for fabric. I don't want to give that company the license to use it on everything because then I can't resell it for housewares or, bags or whatever else, clothing or whatever. So someone who licenses their designs, they're thinking about what category is it in and how many categories can I put it on in theory. So to maximize, the time spent and energy making all that art. So I mean that very vaguely is kind of what licensing is. I guess not that vaguely. That's kind of the deal. And then typically how it goes is if you license artwork, you get a percentage royalty, or like a royalty on everything that's sold. And some people might get an advance or something like that. It's kind of like books. So anytime you see an artist in the quilting world, that's probably how it functions, basically. So they're making artwork, another company's putting it on the fabric, and then they get paid a percentage of every yard that's sold. So you could do quilting fabric and then maybe linens. Potentially, yeah. So it's so that, Gretchen, if I really wanted to have it on linens, like bed sheets and stuff like that, I would really make sure that in that contract for the fabric that I still have the rights to put it on linens. So that would be definitely something that an artist would want to really read over their contract really well to make sure. But yes, correct. So that's how licensing works versus buying an artwork outright, which is another way that artists sell work. But in that scenario, the artist just gets paid once, and then they don't own their artwork anymore. So it's like they make that art, and then it's gone. They don't have any rights to it anymore. Whereas with licensing, they own that artwork forever, the artist. So that's a benefit to licensing, I suppose. But if you could just get paid right away for your art, then you get money up front. How much does a store pay for and how much? Well, typically a store would pay whatever the wholesale cost of the fabric would be. A lot of times that's about half. So the stores buy the whole bolts, and that money gets split. So okay, so the company, the company manufacturing the fabric, like the Moda, would sell the fabric to a store at wholesale cost, which is about half retail potentially. That I don't know that for sure. But yeah, if you're paying like $4 for fabric, then the store probably paid $2 for that fabric. Again, that's different for, that could be, that's just, I'm making it up. basically. Your local quilt shop says they have to sell about 75% of the bolt before they start making a profit. Yeah, I mean, that would kind of make sense, because if they're buying the bolt at wholesale, they got to sell at least half of that bolt to be at, nil again. And, they're probably paying for shipping and stuff too. And all these folks get a cut of the wholesale price. Yes. So most of it stays with the company. So most of it will stay with like the Moda or the Robert Kaufman. And then, a tiny fraction of that goes to the artist. A very, very small amount goes to the artist in the end. So it's the artist, and then the company will pay all their employees and the factory for printing it and all that too. And the marketing and all that. So the company's actually responsible for all those things, really. So, I mean, they're the one making it, so they're making the most money, for sure. But yeah, that, as far as I know, is typically how it all works. But yeah, so there's a little fabric industry shenanigans for ya. But yeah, that was kind of a big deal for Free Spirit in Westminster just to go away. So could they say, I want you to produce 20 designs in a month for us? They sure could. A lot of times, I mean, if you're just starting out, you're making that and then pitching it to different companies, and then hopefully someone will want your collection. So you would say a normal fabric designer makes a normal type of income, $50,000. I'm guessing it depends on the designer and how much they're selling, really. That seems like me as a fabric designer, I didn't make anywhere near that. Yeah, but then you have other designers who are like the big designers who are selling a ton of stuff. They might be they're probably making at least that, but I'm thinking typical, especially if you're starting out, you're not going to get anywhere close to that, I don't think. But again, I don't know. So it's one of those things that it's lucrative when you're in like the top, 2%, and then it's everyone else. Yeah, I mean, some companies help pay for some of those things for the designer to help promote it, but sometimes they don't. It just depends on the different companies. Every company is different. Every company is totally going to be slightly different. But if you were starting out as a designer and you wanted to do fabric and you made a whole line, you had to make a whole pile of art first, on spec basically. You make all this art and it happens to be enough that some fabric manufacturer wants to produce it, and you come up with a contract, and let's say you're relatively a no-name designer, you're just starting out, like if you're right out of school, for example, and you aren't like huge on Instagram or something like that, you know what I mean? Like if you're just a typical out of school, a no-name, then I think that, and you just happen to get a fabric contract that's just still kind of no-name and typical and all that, I'd say that would be pretty tough to be making that much money a year. You'd have to do a whole lot more. Or you'd, again, have to be like some breakout person for sure, which is not unheard of either. I I don't know. That's just my own experience. I might be totally, maybe everyone else is doing that, but I sure was not making that as a fabric designer. But it's fun. It is fun to make all that artwork and stuff. For me, I'm just trying to focus my time and energy a little bit more now, but I would love to do it again in the future, for sure. I mean, it's super fun. So we'll see. I'm taking a little bit of a break from fabric right now, but I definitely would not say that I never want to do it again. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure because I can't speak for anyone else or what they're making or their experiences or their relationship with their companies or anything like that. I mean, I don't know any of that. Oh yeah, Pat Sloan does fabric too, for sure. She's a moda designer, I believe. But yeah, interesting world for sure. It's a business. The whole thing's a business. It's all fun and neat to have fabric, but it's all still companies working and all that. Oh yeah, she totally does everything, Donna. Like songwriters and musicians, they only make pennies in their music unless it's a hit. Lucy, that's pretty dang accurate right there is kind of the deal. Exactly. It's exactly that. Because they're on a royalty scenario too, right? All kind of the arts is a little bit like that, potentially. Yep, a lot of designers teach classes, sell patterns, etc. to make money. Yep, they need more than one source of income. That's exactly it, Debbie. It's fun to do all those things, but yeah, it's an income decision for the most part, I'm thinking. Because just the one thing, unless, like I said, unless you're some breakout star or something, it takes all of that to make the living wage of it all. Dogs pestering you. Oh, but to answer the earlier question, like, so the company can just say, we need 20 designs in a month. If you have been, like, that's probably not very typical if you are just pitching them for the first time. But if you've been working with that company for a while, then yeah, that's something they could totally say. But in theory, if you're working with a place, you kind of know the schedule a little bit, so you know. But if something pops up real quick, then yeah, it's time to pump out some artwork real quick. And you're doing all that. I mean, some people might get an advance on all that stuff, but I think typically the artist is doing all that for free on the hope that it sells a year later. So there's a lot of upfront work that artists who license artwork do in the hope that it sells later. I mean, I'm sure some could negotiate in advance, probably. They can. So Gretchen's asking, do they direct you as to what you should design and edit you? That is on a per company basis, but they're the company and they know what sells for them to some extent. So that works. Yep, and you're designing for a year away, so you won't get paid basically for all the, like for this dinosaur something, for example. I wouldn't have gotten paid for that. I mean, I didn't get paid for all that artwork because it never got made, right? I get to keep all the artwork and I get to use it again. But if they print it and then they sell it, I don't get paid until the sales start coming in. So until the stores start buying it, which is like a year later. Don't a lot of them come out with lines twice a year, coordinating with Quilt Market? Yes. So that has been for the past, I don't know, decade or so probably, has been how fabric design has gone. It's more like fashion now, where each month, or not each month, every year, every 6 months at least, there's a new collection from all these designers. So yeah, these designers are pumping out artwork so that they can have a whole fleshed out new collection every 6 months. But they worked on all those a year ago. So, you know, the one that is at the beginning of the year, they worked on that the beginning of the year before, and then the one that comes out later in the year, they worked on that later in the year before. Typically. I mean, you know, again, this is, I'm sure, variable for different companies and different designers and stuff. So a company, a lot of times they will have, well, it's different for each company and each designer, and it's how they set up how they want to work together. So sometimes maybe designers do get a lot of freedom and maybe they don't get as much. They get some guidance on other things, you know. It really depends on the company and what relationship is set up between the designer and the company. So I think that all is variable. So starting out, it takes a few years to build up your business. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably typical, unless, again, you're kind of just so amazing that everyone wants everything you do immediately, you know, then you know, but still, even for those people, I'm sure it takes time to build things up too. How cool to see your designs be made into new lovely quilts and creations. Yes, that I love that, Gretchen. I totally love seeing what people make out of the fabric, because I'm not, I mean, I'm thinking about, I think about how people might use it, and I kind of design for that a little bit, but I'm not as interested myself as of making a bunch of stuff out of it. I like making the patterns and everything, and I like thinking about the uses, but I'm not necessarily going to make a ton of things. So, because, you know, I'm busy making the next thing, really. So it's really fun to see people's creations for sure. And it's always unexpected to me. It's always something fun and sweet that I would have never thought of, or color combinations that I wouldn't have put together and just are really cool. And so that is really, really fun. I love seeing that, for sure. Cruising with these squares. But yeah, let me know if you have any other fabric design industry questions. I'm more than happy to talk about what I know, which again is a very limited. It's just my vision of it all, and I'm sure it's different for everyone, different for each designer, each company. I've only worked at the one fabric company, so I only know about them and just, you know, hearing from other places and stuff, but I only have my own experiences, so I can't talk to everyone. That's, I guess, my point. Like digitizing an embroidered design. Ooh, I missed that. And there are too many out there to choose from for me. I want to learn to digitize. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Sharon. Most of the series, like okaying all everyone's photos on. Have you toured textile factories to watch them make your fabric? I have not, but oh gosh, I would love to. So most of the textile factories are in China or India. typically. And I have not seen those. But yeah, I think that's pretty much where most of the fabric's actually produced. I know Clothworks, that's who I was with. They have that America-made brand where the cotton is picked here, it's woven here, it's dyed here. They have that America-made brand that they have is completely start to finish made in the U.S. And I think that's one of the only places that does it. Yes, textiles used to be huge in America years ago, but that's all gone away. No, so, you know, in theory, Gretchen, there are rules, and there's a whole pile of rules and inspections and all that to ensure that, you know, child labor and all that isn't a thing. But yeah, I mean, oh, thanks, Sharon. Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, in theory it's a thing. But I think that's, the manufacturers definitely go out to these places and talk with the factories and work with the factories in a direct way. But the designers don't typically get to see all that. Yeah, I think ultimately it's probably a cheaper labor, cheaper ability to run the factories. That'd be my guess. I mean, well, now the factories just don't exist here anymore like they used to. But yeah, the America-made brand, I think that's with Clothworks, that's done entirely here. I think when they found that factory, they were primarily doing like linens for prisons or something like that. I think it was just something similar, but not in the same industry. And then they discussed with them about doing quilting weight fabric and worked with them to develop the fabric. Oh, the most I've paid for a fabric, like that I've purchased fabric for? Oh gosh. I don't know, I'm not a huge, I like reusing stuff. I've probably, you know, I haven't bought like a chunk of fabric like that in a while, so I don't know, I don't have a good answer for that. Here in Mooresville, North Carolina, we have a big textile factory. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, it's now a furniture store, antique store, and restaurants. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, yeah, all those old factories just aren't anymore. Yeah, they are turned into more. We're a service-based country now, you know. So those are turning into like restaurants and stuff. Do I have a huge stash? My stash is getting lower and lower. That's why I'm doing all these projects. I'm trying not to accumulate more. I'm trying to use up the stash. So I don't. Compared to like what you see photos online with shelves and shelves of fabric, I don't have that many at all. And I store them in bins, so it's not that pretty either. But I have, I don't know, maybe 12 of those little bins. I showed those a few weeks ago. $11, that's pretty typical for quilting weight fabric. I don't think that's probably the median range. Actually, that's probably at the base end, $11 for a yard of quilting weight fabric these days. Oh, again, I haven't bought a lot of yardage in a while since I'm trying to use up all this stuff. You bought some, oh, Liberty fabrics. There you go. Liberty would probably be pretty expensive. Or some specialty linen or something, I bet. You follow a Facebook page and sewing room ideas, and some people have so much stash they could open a store. Donna, I hear ya. I'm in a few of those groups too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, and and crazy. I don't have anything near that amount, not even close. You know, I don't know, a few weeks ago I had that fabric sale here, and I showed you, I think I had like 9 bins worth of fabric, of penguin and fish fabric that I was selling. And so now I've condensed a lot of that. So between what I have left of penguin and fish fabric and just my random stash, man, I probably only have like maybe 8 of those 8 of those little kind of bins worth of fabric. I definitely have a pretty limited stash here. Oh, I know, right, Donna? the money spent on all that fabric. I would just want to look at it all. It's just all too pretty. Your stash fills only 2 of those bins, not much. That's plenty to make a bunch of quilts yet. Yeah, you use it and you love it. And you know, I'm saving like old shirts and stuff too, so I'm like I'm gaining stash by cutting up clothing. So I'm doing some of that stuff too. Oh, speaking of like old clothes or like vintage fabrics, Blair from Wisecraft Quilts, she is having a cool class coming up on designing your own quilts, like the process, how to go about doing that, how to actually choose fabrics for a quilt that you designed. I'll have more information on that class soon, but it sounds kind of amazing. Like if you're interested in designing your own pattern with the cool fabrics that you have, like if you have some neat vintage fabrics or just some fabrics that you really want to showcase but you can't quite find a perfect quilt pattern for that, she is having a class coming up on that, like a whole course, like it's like a 6-week course or something, with like a private group and everything. It sounds pretty awesome. I'll have some more info about that for you guys tomorrow, because I just got more information on it. But I know some of you for sure want to probably play with try and design your own, and this would be a good intro to starting to design your own patterns too. If you're interested in pattern design for quilting, things to think about and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, I would totally recommend this course that she's doing. So I'll be sure to get you more info on that tomorrow. So in tomorrow's Facebook post here, I will put a link to it. Actually, I can do that when I'm done here. I'll put a post into this thing about it too if you're interested in something like that. You saw a quilt, a magazine you saved and saved and saved. Oh, yeah, and the quilt kit they didn't sell anymore. Oh, weird. Yeah, they didn't. So that's the thing with this whole 6-month thing and this whole deal about fabric being like fashion now, where it's it's there for 6 months, then it's gone. It's a bummer because sometimes you just want to find a fabric to use as a backing or something, and that fabric doesn't exist anymore because it's on this 6-month cycle now. Same with like the magazines. It's the kit's there for just the time it's there, and then it's gone. Robin, it's not on Craftsy, I believe. I think she's doing it on her own. It's her own. It's a multiple video course with a lot of helpful stuff. So I will find out more info. But yeah, you really can. There's a group that you can discuss everything with, and she's got projects and tasks to make it easy, and discussions and stuff like that, and probably some live video and all that. So it's a pretty hefty, fleshed out course. Yeah, so this would be perfect to learn how to copycat. It probably would, Gretchen, or just to like see how to maximize what you have in your stash for sure. And if there's a style of quilt you just really love, how to do something, yeah, do something that speaks to you, basically. Design that quilt that speaks to you, and use the fabric that speaks to you too. Just learning how to harness that idea, basically, right? Just kind of like how we talked about value the other day, like the light or darkness of a quilt, how if you can control that, if you have control over the value, then you're going to be able to design better. Your quilt's going to be more of how you intended it to be. So that's kind of the same deal. Like how do you more knowingly go into a quilt and make better decisions to accomplish what you want and design your own, how to design it yourself. So it seems pretty awesome. But yeah, so I just got information on it, so I'll give you some more buzz about that tomorrow for sure. And I'll throw a link up on it today just because we're talking about it. And when it's not in the post now, but I will, when I'm done here tonight, I will throw it up in the Facebook post, and it'll also be in the YouTube post. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. And, you know, she's great. Blair from Wisecraft, she's the one that made that ruby ruler that we talked about the other day. And she also did that, one of my favorite craft books. It's the Wisecraft Quilts book, and that's where we did that English paper piecing project a few months ago with that hand piecing. And it was kind of that flower, and I made a pillow out of it. But in the book, it was that framed art piece, basically. If you remember that project, that's the same person. So she's the author of that book, which is, again, one of my favorite quilting craft books, for sure. But yeah, so I definitely recommend this class. And you can catch her. She does some live streams too. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to start our next quilt too, where I really want to focus on the value a little bit more, like what we've been talking about. Really trying to control that a little bit more, or make more knowledgeable decisions, more so than I have in my last few quilts. Oh, you jump on Blair's lives when you can. That's awesome. Yeah, she's great. Man, I don't know. This pile isn't getting smaller again. I think we're going to have to take another day. Oh gosh, I can't count them. That'll freak me out. I'm not supposed to count the mountain or whatever, right? Or whatever, however that goes. Oh, and I got another one hiding down here. Where'd this guy come from? So we'll trim a few more, and yeah, with that dinosaur fabric, man, so all those strike-offs, again, those little pieces of fabric that I had were called strike-offs. They're just the little factory test prints, basically. Oh, I know, there's no unicorns at Fish Museum and Circus yet. I'm waiting for those unicorns. But now that I have all those strike-offs and they're not being printed of those dinosaurs, I can take that fabric and I should make a little quilt, little dinosaur quilt out of that. I'll have to think of a design for that. Use those little collection that never was. I have one other collection that I did. Actually, two other collections. Two other collections I did that never got printed. The underwater collection, which I think you've seen a little bit of that. Some of it was in my book, and I don't know, we were going to reprint some of it. And then the other collection was called 1, 2, 3 Menagerie, and it was numbers, and I thought it was pretty cute. So I should pull out those collections too and share some of the other collections that never got printed. Oh my gosh, Kim, you started quilting your chevron quilt today. Good for you, man. You're way farther along than I am. All right, I think this will be our last one tonight. It's already 9:30. Man, I'm chit-chatty tonight. Our hour went by quick. How are you quilting it, Kim? Are you doing the free motion or doing some straight line stitching? Are you hand doing it? I was thinking today that, I'm really excited to machine quilt, do the free motion quilting on mine, but I was also thinking, man, just hand stitching it, like with a running stitch, like a sashiko style stitching by hand would be really kind of fun on this quilt too. But we're doing the machine quilting, the free motion quilting. So all the time you spent designing your unprinted lines. Oh yeah, that was work I never got paid for. Exactly, for sure. Luckily, I still own the artwork, so I can use it for other things. I can try and pitch it to other places to license it. I am doing some of my new embroidery patterns use some of the dinosaurs. But yeah, no, that's work I did not get paid for sure. But I could in the future if I start getting out there as a licensor, get out there as an artist licensing work again. That could be part of my portfolio of available art. So there's potential. There's potential to make money on all that artwork yet, but just not from that particular time period as quilting white fabric. But for something else in the future, maybe. Oh, you're using a walking foot. Oh, you posted a pic on Penguin and Fish. I will check that out today. I've been gone all afternoon. Angela has her second video out on YouTube. Oh, Dunn's Echoes and Meandering. So I got her email today, Sharon. I have not checked it out yet, though, but I've saved the email because I do want to check out her videos of her little course. Next time we can talk about writing a book. Oh gosh, yeah. that was a pretty big struggle for me actually doing the book. It kind of made me not want to really write another book. That sounds horrible, but I don't know. I'm still going through withdrawal from working on that book a little bit. But now that it's been a few years, I think maybe I'm a little bit more okay with it. I know, Donna. Man, I'm kind of a complainer tonight. But books, it's kind of pretty similar process to what I talked about tonight with how artists and the fabric work. Oh, Angela Walters is who we're talking about, Gretchen. Actually, you can go to her site. She is having some free motion quilting classes right now. Oh my God, how does this go? There we go. But yeah, you can sign up for her newsletter for it, like specifically for that class, I believe. I don't know how I got there. I must have gone to her website and... Oh, you know what? I think I clicked from her Instagram. So if you go to her Instagram, and she might have like a swipe up if you want to take the class, and then I just clicked from there. I didn't even go to her website. I clicked from Instagram, and then got signed up to the newsletter. All right, that is that for the night. And look, our stack, I'd say this is getting to be a nice hefty stack of these. Oh God, they look so pretty in a stack. And we are getting lower on here. So I'm thinking, let's see, tomorrow is Wednesday. I'm thinking we can confidently finish this pile on Wednesday, tomorrow. Maybe we'll even get to the sewing area. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good that this is actually down to a finishable pile. But that'd be great. It'd be awesome to start sewing these into the half chevrons, and then then that's it. Then we're organizing this on the ground, on the floor, into our zigzags, and then we can just sew it all together. Yes, we're getting there, guys. All right, I'm gonna flip you around and we'll call it an evening tonight. All right, thank you guys again for joining me, and that was kind of fun. Thanks for letting me share my little dinosaur collection stuff, and man, we talked a lot about the industry a little bit today. Wasn't expecting to do that, but that was fun. And if you have any other questions about fabric design, just even the how-tos of that, or what the industry's like and stuff, feel free to ask, or tomorrow ask me live. If you know anyone interested in that industry, wanting to know a little bit about designing and stuff, feel free to share this video with them. I'd appreciate that. And this will go up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies, so you can watch the replay there. And the replay will also stay here on the Penguin and Fish Facebook page. So awesome! I'm ready to finish up this stuff. The stack is so little. That's pretty exciting. But yeah, so we are working again on the little Charming Chevrons quilt. So there is time, plenty of time. We'll be quilting this whole guy yet. So if you think you're coming too late to the party, there's tons of time to do this quilt with us here yet. So awesome! I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great Wednesday. And have a great rest of your evening tonight. See you tomorrow.